Welcome to the QB Chronicles, an SMU football podcast with Garrett, Gilbert, and Padron. Join former SMU quarterbacks Garrett and Kyle as they break down each week's game, offering insights from their own experiences on the field. In addition to game analysis, we'll also bring you special episodes featuring interviews with past and present SMU players, sharing their stories and perspectives. Whether you're a diehard Mustang fan or just love football, this podcast is your go-to source for all things SMU football. Pony up!
Welcome back to the QB Chronicles and the Pat and Go preview for SMU Clemson. Got a rematch of the ACC championship from a year ago, and our ponies will travel to Clemson to take on a much different Clemson Tiger team this year, but still the Clemson Tigers in Death Valley. Tough test on the road in ACC play here. GG, what's up, man?
How we doing? I wanted to do the Chris Collinsworth slide in there, but I couldn't get the chair moving good enough. So I'm ready to go, though. I'm excited about this game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Saturday afternoon in Death Valley.
Yeah, thankful for a 2:30 kick. I think a night game in Death Valley is a little bit different, but still a tough place to play. I imagine they're seemingly riding the ship at the moment. And have been playing some better ball than they have and better than the start of the year. Obviously, Cade has seemed to struggle early on. He's turning the ball over a little bit more than he has in previous years, but still a player to watch. And he's a good dual threat quarterback that could present some problems, as we've seen with Sawyer Robertson versus Baylor and Josh Hoover at TCU. So I'm hoping that the defensive coaching staff can put a great game plan together for at least on paper, what is still a good Clemson offense and a good Clemson football team, but certainly have our hands full preparing for both sides of the ball as their defense has played some good football this year as well.
Yeah. Overall, stat-wise, I mean, this Clemson team looks, preseason number 3, struggled mightily out of the gate. But like you said, have had 2 kind of get-right games lately wherein they beat Boston College and North Carolina by a combined score of like 80-20. So they're getting things right just in time for SMU to come to town. Stats-wise, kind of middle of the road. Offense is, like I said, roughly, 70th in the nation in terms of, points a game, yards a game. And then the defense is a little bit higher ranked, generally in the top 20 in terms of everything. They've been pretty good on defense. Of course, they haven't, played a ton of really good offenses yet this year. So it'll be interesting to see how our offense, which, has been pretty successful no matter who we've played against, stacks up against them. I think I kind of want to look back at last year's game and just see where, see comparatively what things look like. Obviously, we're in a little different spot. They're in a little different spot. And at the same time, both teams are 2-0 in the ACC and don't see any reason why, they can't keep either team can't keep rolling if they're able to win this game. Obviously, last year it was 14-0. I think before you could even blink, we had the bad turnover. Clemson scored, and then I can't remember how they got the second touchdown. But like I said, it was 14-0 before you could even blink. But you take that part away from the game, and obviously you can't. They beat us and they took the lead there. But SMU really outplayed Clemson the rest of that football game. 458 yards to 326, outpassed them. Outrushed them. We averaged 4.5 per carry. They averaged 2. Clemson was not penalized in this game, which was a mild point of contention afterwards. But other than that, I mean, we played a great football game other than the first 6 minutes. So this is going to be an even more hostile environment than that was. I mean, that was basically a home game for Clemson. This obviously actually is a home game. So I am interested to see, again, not that we're the same football team, not that they're the same football team, but how we withstand the early onslaught of a true road test. I mean, this is going to be the most difficult road test that SMU's played in since the move to the ACC.
Yeah, I agree. They haven't faced a situation like this on the road. I think Louisville was probably the biggest road game last year, and they handled that well. But I think, what's important is there will be a storm, and how quickly can we navigate through that and kind of weather that storm. And and play our game. That's what it comes down to is, the coaching staff's going to put together a great plan. I trust that. But it comes down to these young kids playing in a big-time college football environment. They will get hit in the mouth, and then do you keep getting up or do you, kind of lay down? And, from what we've seen from these guys over the last several years is that they get up and they fight and they keep playing and play the next play. But this will be a good road test for them, and excited to see how they respond. Touching on some of the stats you hit on offensively for Clemson, they're averaging 26 points a game. I think, they're like 88th in total offense in the country, 408 yards per game. They're averaging 4.3 per carry. Adam Randall is their featured back, guy to watch for. But they do seem to struggle on third down. They're only completing just over 35% of their third down conversions. So I think that's a good point for us to focus on is, see if we can win, downs 1 and 2, put them in some tougher situations, third and long, see if we can get some pressure on the quarterback like we did against Stanford. But put them in those longer third down conversion situations. But they also seem to be really efficient in the red zone. They're right at 80% scoring in the red zone. So if we can keep them outside of that 20, I think it comes down to, a point you said a few weeks ago versus TCU of forcing them to kick field goals rather than score touchdowns. I think that's what it's going to come down to, and see if we can push them out of the red zone, make them settle for field goals. And then offensively, we've got to score points.
Yeah. Totally agree with you. And I think you're exactly right as far as getting pressure on Cade. But I think the other thing that you have to be wary of is, yes, we want to get pressure on him, but he can extend plays if you're not sound with your pass rush lane. So you got to get to him, and you want to make him, you want to make him uncomfortable, but you got to be careful about making him a runner because he's one of the best running quarterbacks we've played. And I think the advantage that maybe SMU has in terms of playing like a true running quarterback is we see one of the best running quarterbacks in the nation in practice every day. So they are used to it in terms of how to go against Kevin every single day in practice during training camp. And I think that will help us. The other thing too is, this is a team that Clemson is a team that had true. A lot of people picked him to be the national champion in the preseason. And so, if SMU can start fast and kind of get them on their heels, we can really use that home crowd against them. Get them out of the game early. Their crowd may start to think, oh, here we go again. And, and then we can jump on them and keep our foot on the gas. So I think this is one we just talked about earlier in our recap episode about kind of a slow start and a sleepy start. Well, this ain't the day for that. Jump on them early. Obviously, we know there's going to be a storm. There's going to be some sort of onslaught, whether it be early or before the half. We don't know, but withstand that. But keep the foot on the gas and take the pressure. Take the attack them. So I think we can do it. We've been waiting to play our best game, and I don't see why not this weekend. There's a good contingent of SMU fans going up there. It's going to be fun, and these are the types of games that we've had a few of them the past couple of years, but again, these are the types of games that you dream about as a kid. So let's go have some fun, and coaching staff put together a good game plan. Obviously, we know these guys. We've had success against them. Let's go beat them.
Yeah, no better time than the present. We've talked about kind of the sleepy start for Stanford, getting off to a fast start here. Just kind of curiosity, the scripted plays, how as a player do you take whether it's first 10, 15, how do you prepare for those going into a game like this where you do know that starting fast, kind of to your point of let's go pop them in the mouth, take the crowd out of it? How intentional, obviously the coaches are putting a game plan together, but from the player perspective, how do you kind of internalize those plays and see those plays going, whether it's first 10, 15, however many right calls?
Yeah. For me, it was like, it was a fine line of not being like overly prepared for those 15 plays. Understanding like exactly what it is that we were trying to do with each of the first 15 that coach had ready to go. But again, not being so overly prepared that it turned me into a robot. So, wanting to stay loose and understanding, you kind of want to keep it in a little bit of a fast and loose mentality where, yes, exactly what he's going to call and you hope that you get the look that you're going for. But like, you want it like, again, it's what makes Kevin so good is his ability to improvise and make plays on the spot. I mean, you kind of want to have a little bit of that feeling while also being incredibly prepared for, the play calls versus certain coverages that the coaches have up next. I know that's, sort of a fence setter answer, kind of non-answer, but it's kind of a fine line, right, of being, yes, incredibly prepared. These are the 15 plays we like the best against this defense. This is what we think they're going to get to on the first play of the game, on the first second down of the game, on the first third down of the game. But again, also with the ability to not, think yourself into a box and understand that, they can make adjustments too.
Yeah, no, that's great perspective. I've been listening and kind of watching a few of these NFL games recently. These teams get off to these fast starts, and then they just kind of sputter throughout the rest of the game. So it's been on my mind recently, so I wanted to get your perspective.
Well, I mean, the Bears who are playing right now on Monday Night Football are a perfect example of that. Ben Johnson's opening script has seemingly been gold for a touchdown in every game, and then Caleb kind of and the Bears offense as a whole, they kind of get into a little bit of a sputter as the game goes on, but. Some of those coaches have things dialed up early on, and how you respond after that obviously makes the biggest difference.
Yep. So I think you've kind of touched on it throughout the last 10 minutes or so, but I think a few keys to the game, if you want to highlight a couple, I think for me, it's knowing that this defense is a top 20 defense. They do a good job getting off the field on third down. It's staying on schedule, and it's kind of a lazy point, but I know we always want to do that, but we can't have these silly penalties, taunting penalties, plays that get us behind the sticks for no reason that we can't control. Yep. But we've got to stay on schedule and put ourselves in situations to where we can get to third and short, third and medium, and then have a, fighting chance to pick up a first down and extend the drive. And then it goes back to defensive side of the ball as well, is getting pressure on Cade, staying disciplined in passing rush lanes, keeping him contained in the pocket, not letting him escape too much. I think he will make some good plays with his feet. And then winning the turnover battle, it's a big one every single week that we want to focus on, but can't force the football. I know Kevin's going to, extend plays and create, but he's got to do a good job of taking care of the football and not making bad plays worse, especially on the road in this type of setting. I want to be hyper-focused on that, but I thought those were a few things that I wanted to highlight. Do you have any, keys that you're watching for?
Yeah, trying to be as succinct and quick as I can, because I feel I have a vision in my mind of how this game's going to be played. It's not going to be I don't think it's going to be a 48-45 shootout. I think it's going to be I don't want to say it's going to be a defensive battle, but I think points are going to be a little bit harder to come by, especially early. I think we have to be committed to running the football. That doesn't mean that running the football is going to be super easy. I don't think it's going to be super easy. I think it's going to be challenging. In fact, it was last year to start the game. I vividly remember Brashard not being able to get going early on. But I think we have to stay committed to it, because I think it's going to slow down their pass rush and, give Kevin the ability to make those plays you were talking about. And then on the other side of the ball, I think we have to do the same exact thing against their run. We were extremely stout against it last year. Get Garrett Riley and that offense, the Clemson offense, Cade Klubnik, frustrated and force them into passing situations where we can rush the passer, keep him in the pocket, make him a thrower, and then hopefully capitalize and, club takeaway can go to Death Valley. I think those are the biggest things. I mean, I'm going to talk about the fronts every single week. I think that's the biggest thing. But running the ball is not going to be easy, but I think we need to stay with it and understand that, much like you said, can't have those dumb penalties, but 2nd and 8 and then 3rd and 6, not that I want to run the ball for 2 yards every single possession on the first 2 plays, but that's okay, because it's going to keep the crowd far more out of the game than if we get a dumb penalty or we get a sack on first down and we're in 3rd and 16. Yep. So I think those things are super important. I would love to see, our offensive line stand up to these guys. It's going to be the best front we play and the best defense we play at large, to this point this year. So I'm excited about it. And I think I am ready to give my prediction. And I have got the Ponies winning this game 31-24 with a late touchdown drive to go take the lead. Oh, man.
You stole my score, so I'm going to better you. I'm going to do 28-24, keep it a little bit closer.
Why don't we go with the same thing? I love it.
No, can't do that. That's boring. You got to have something to cheer for. Got to have something else to cheer for. And then the last key for me is to keep Brian Westcott out of the freaking end zone because that guy is still living in my nightmares from Charlotte.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
keep number 12 out of the end zone.
However many, yeah, but 2 touchdowns for sure and a lot of yards. I mean, one of those, I think that was Lyman downfield, but we'll go.
Definitely was.
We'll forget about that. We'll forget about that if we can win this one.
Yep.
That's all I got, man. As we usually do, thanks to number 1, Billy Embody, and On 3 and On the Pony Express, Mitchell Brown in the 1911 group for making this podcast possible. Who else do we got to thank? Socorro Tequila, Kyle's favorite.
Move tequila to your left and your right.
Yeah, I keep pointing, but I'm not all the way.
Yeah, you got both. You can point either way
I know.
this time.
And then
lastly, our boys over at Roback.
Yeah, Roback. Code Pony20 for 20% off. Go get you a Roback shirt.
Dang right. We'll see you next Sunday when we break down SMU Clemson, hopefully coming off of a big road victory, getting the 3-0 in ACC play. Until then,
5-2. Yep. Let's go.